Hello, and good to see you guys again. We are. Ooh, hold on one second there. I'm getting an echo. We are covering a number of items this week, but we're facing the elusive write once, run everywhere conundrum that seems to hit every language at some point or another. There is a promise that is made that you'll be able to use your code in many different places on many different platforms. And that's been true mostly for languages that have run on JVMs. The other thing that engineers love to follow is this notion of don't repeat yourself, which is why we write our code in functions and name functions and use them everywhere. The biggest promise of seeing this kind of reuse and boy, this is really not going the way I wanted to. But let's just put it this way: there is this magical concept that we've been chasing, this notion of isomorphic code. And the question we have this week is whether or not changes that we're seeing are going to break that. Is isomorphism dead? All this and more this week on This Week in MeteorJS, a live stream newscast by the Meteor Dispatches podcast. My name is Alim Gafar. I'm in New York City.
I'm Jan Dvorak, aka Storyteller in Prague, Czechia.
And I'm Jan Küster from Germany. Hello.
All right. I'm going to take us straight into the news, and this week a little bit differently, starting with the development news. First of all, we'll start with the community, where we had the Meteor Desktop version 3.2 release. And it's most notably that's updated to Electron 17, as we are slowly starting to get up to the most recent Electron version. So if you are using Meteor Desktop, check it out and let us know what you think, if you have any problems, all that nice stuff. Then on the Meteor itself, the official release, we have Meteor 2.14, which we've kind of dubbed the Hacktoberfest release. So we've got a lot of new features. You can check the blog, official Meteor blog, for all the updates. We have a new improved Meteor Create CLI, first run promise, but also you have the dependency updates like new TypeScript, MongoDB driver, and so on. You can find, of course, full list in the changelog. I would say also, if you're running Cordova, this is a must update because there is a Cordova update hidden inside this release, and many other things. And one thing we'll mention later on as well. So definitely check it out. And we'll have somebody next week from the Meteor team to talk more about this and future releases. For Meteor 3, we have a new QA section and also a list what would be considered the core packages, which is going to be changing in the future. So check out the docs for that. And part of Meteor 3 is Laurie from Weekend team has been working on getting support for ARM64. And he has had some updates. Pretty much it's working. And he has put up in the forums a thread about this. So if you want to check out how to get Meteor 3 onto ARM64 device, he has here a very detailed how-to guide. So check that out.
So that's also really great for people that are interested, as I am, in getting it on a Raspberry Pi. I've had a project for the last 2 years that's been sitting and waiting for an opportunity to run on that platform. So that's kind of cool.
All right.
I would also love to do that. I have my Raspberry Pi somewhere here in the in my big bunch of things lying around there, and it's just waiting to get revived. And so yeah, when I have some time to play around, I will definitely check that out. Yes. So if there is nothing from the news segment anymore, I would jump from the tech news segment anymore. I would jump into the packages and community news.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, it is. So if you're watching this program for a while, you might have heard a lot from me talking about abandoned packages, especially the ones from the golden ages of Meteor, and then like 7 years outdated somewhere. But actually, there is some news in that. And have you ever thought that there can be a revival of these year-old packages? Because I can tell you there is. The famous tab i18n packages has been resumed to maintenance and has been released with already 2 new versions. So the latest version is now 1.11.1. And I think this is a great example that it doesn't necessarily mean that packages, once they're abandoned forever and everything is gone and we are, oh my God, everything will be bad. No, actually, this is a great opportunity for others to catch up again. I will also try to contact the maintainer and ask them about their motivation behind this, because there must be a clear motivation behind this. I've read some on the background of the companies still running on this, so I think this has also something to do, of course, with the software and the products or the services being dependent on these packages being updated. But again, this is something great to give it back to the community. We all know there are many people out there having some forks or locally maintained stuff, so why not give it back to the community? And this is one of the great examples. Hope I get him on the board to talk a little bit about that. It would be terrific. Also, I would like to know what's about the future plans for 3.0. Will it be 3.0 capable, or is it already? This is also something that I really would like to ask and to see. Coming from that.
I think actually kind of to stay on this, I think the main motivator or benefit is that the package found a sponsor here, which is Just Do, which is a pure Meteor-based project management software. So that's especially for the companies listening to this, that's one way how to get some of your critical packages up and running again. If you don't want to maintain it yourself, but you just sponsor the creators, and I think in many cases they'll be more than happy to do that. Or if not, you can reach out to community packages and we can arrange something.
Yeah, I would also like to ask you, Jan, could you please click on the Packosphere link? So this is also not a small package. I think this has like, I don't see the download rates, but I know that it had some of the bigger download rates in terms of packages. So when I was watching when I was looking, it was definitely in the 10,000s or something. So
it's definitely the top 10 packages at some different points.
So this is actually really great. So many people depending on this, and this is also if we can get packages like this to be already clean in their dependencies itself, so-called peer dependencies for 3.0 would be terrific, because then people would have less chores when updating their projects, and then dependencies kicking in like, oh no, the packages requires some super old peer dependency and so on. So great chance for everyone. And you can see this is not a definitive process. When things get abandoned, things can get picked up again. Alim, do you want to add something, or I would otherwise move?
No,
to
I
the
think
next
I
one?
think you guys hit it right on the head, which is that, and it's really great to see. So I was actually curious, and it sounds to me like you've already answered this, whether or not the folks that have picked up the revived, so to speak, this package are the original maintainers, or is it somebody new that stepped in? But it sounds to me like what you're saying is it's the original authors, maintainers of the package that have actually gone in and made these updates. And I, again, like you said, I am very fascinated by the fact that that has happened, if that is the case. And I'm curious to know their motivation as you. So there's really not much there for me to add, other than to really sort of mirror, or just compliment what you've been saying so far as the kinds of things I'd like to know too.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely from my end, I will try to get deeper into this and establish some contact, and I will let you know in future episodes what's all this about. I already spoke about a little bit again about 3.0, and I wanted to use this moment to refer to a forum post I actually added a few days ago, and this is some call for engagement. So what I wanted to ask the community is to post some open source projects that need migration to 3.0, and this has some specific reason why I did that, or why I asked for these. It's because some of us have really large projects, and it's really a churn to migrate them. This migration effort with a large project is like something you have to plan over months sometimes. And it would be so awesome to have just some smaller projects, or just something that's manageable, which you can get your hands on and try out a few things. So we might share some projects that are somewhere listed in the GitHub repos that are maybe not too outdated, because when they're too outdated, then we have the problems again that we have even to upgrade these projects to 2 point something. So it's rather like something that's in the current 2.x versions, and this is more something on an exchange basis. So hey, this is my project. If you want to check this out, take a look. And as you can see, there are already some comments there from Fred that he successfully migrated some projects already. I think at the bottom there is one more comment that he updated them to the 3.0 alpha. So this is also the idea, posting some projects. Hey, that's the project that needs migration, but also, of course, posting, hey, this is something I actually did, and it worked out. And then people can start comparing, oh, okay, how did they do it? What was the difficulty? And starting with small things, because that's this whole the core of this process, is like getting your hands on and start doing it and get comfortable with it. And once you're comfortable with it, you can take a big project, and then it's much easier than starting from nothing. So that's my motivation behind this post, and I would love to see some more engagement in terms of the community posting a few more examples or links here. I know there are many repositories out there. We just need to get some collected.
That's awesome.
Right. Go ahead.
No. Storytell, please pop in and share what you might want to, or if you're moving on, that's good too.
Yeah, moving on.
Okay.
All right. So moving on. Now, kind of the second half of our news and interesting section is to look a little bit beyond the Meteor, because as we do with Meteor 3.0, looking at the other options to kind of get inspired or migrate, especially, for example, with the Connect to Express migration that's happening in version 3 of Meteor. And during that, I've been kind of like looking around and found some interesting articles about benchmarks. And here is a comparison to between Node 20 and Ban 1, how they are managing with WebSockets, which is where a lot of the real-time data magic is happening. So in which case, Ban has seemed to have a little bit of a better performance. And with that, I kind of look around and I kind of want to shout out Hono framework, which is kind of in the veins of Express, kind of providing you the server and all that stuff. And so I kind of want to get this out to you to kind of so that you know all of these other potential options. And if I didn't have Meteor, this would probably be something that I would go for because of all the stuff it has and because it's fast. So it's a fast, lightweight web framework, and it was originally aimed at Node.js, but it kind of became, pretty much you can run it anywhere, with Node.js, Ban, or Dino, and just put in adapters. So I think that, we should, and this is kind of my main point with this, I kind of want to broaden our perspective so that we can see, what's more out there and what we might maybe want to have in the core of Meteor going forward, especially as some of the old technologies are no longer maintained, and it's time probably to replace them at some point in the future. So go ahead, Alan.
This is a good observation, and this is, I think, something that we as an open source group are a little afraid of sometimes, to look at other frameworks and look at other things and to openly discuss them within the community and so on, because it almost seems as if you're saying Meteor's not good enough, or there are better things out there, the grass is greener someplace else. But I think, as you are suggesting, is it's really good to see what's going on with the state of the art outside, what ideas are percolating up that we might be able to absorb, like the Borg in Star Trek, right? You want to absorb, like you want to just what was their thing? It's like they assimilate.
Simulation.
Yeah.
Yes, they assimilate like the best parts of any technology or culture. And I think if you're not generating those ideas internally yourself, right? It's good to go out and take a look and see who else is generating ideas and what's useful and what's good. We already had something like signals within the Meteor platform, right? There are ideas like the islands framework, or the island, I don't know what you call it, the islands paradigm, right?
Yeah.
For I'm losing words now again, but basically for rehydration, right? That these types of ideas that people are experimenting with in other frameworks, it's really interesting to see what we can adopt and what we can bring into Meteor to keep Meteor current, to improve its performance and to improve its usefulness to folks outside. So you can enjoy the newness of the ideas that are out there within the framework if we can actually make it work. And those are sometimes parts of the conversation that need to take place. I think this is good because it stretches your engineering muscles, right? To see whether or not you can adapt some of these patterns into your existing framework. And it's not always easy, and it's sometimes not always possible with what you have in hand. So I think it's really great to keep on bringing these adjacent but not really related, or maybe related, technologies into the discussion for the news and sharing it with others. So hopefully that'll bring something up. Somebody might say, you know what? I have an idea, I'm going to build a package, or I'm going to build an extension, or I'm going to do something, I'm going to try it out, and I know how it works, and I can make Meteor better because I figured something out. And we've seen this again and again with independent developers in the community, whether it was in Aranota or whether it was cult coders, right? Coming in and just saying, hey, wait a minute, if I just think a little bit outside the box, I can make the Meteor experience even better for developers. And I think that's really cool. And it's not always the people that are in the ivory tower, right? The people that are at MDG or Meteor Software that are able to either generate the ideas or execute on them. Sometimes the real innovations come from outside, and it's really exciting when we see somebody who's just like a regular person, bring that to the table and just move everything forward. So I'm really excited when we have these discussions and we start diving in a little bit more to really understand what we're looking at. So glad you brought Hono. I'm hoping that over time, within the next 6 or 7 episodes or so on, we can get a little deeper. Maybe we can see what an app looks like with it, and then sort of talk about what it is that works there. There's one other thing I want to point out, by the way, and it's a thought I've had for a bit, because that article that you have from, I think it's Professor Lemore, right, from University of Montreal, is that
Daniel Lemaire's
Yeah.
University of Quebec.
Quebec, yeah. So I posted, I
Montreal,
believe,
yeah.
that article also last week. So the thing that's really interesting to me is the issue of like benchmark testing, and what does that actually tell you? And because you're modeling at that point, and when you model, you have to drop a lot of other things in order to focus on that very specific set of criteria that you care about. But modeling doesn't always give you like real world results. And so there are some limitations to benchmarks as we see them, and those limitations are based on the structure of the type of testing that you're doing. So it's really important that we keep that in mind as we go forward. A benchmark that that tests a particular performance of some element doesn't necessarily mean that is sufficient for your use case. So just keep that in mind as you go forward. And Küster, I mean, you're in an academic environment. There is an environment. There is this sort of rigorousness to the way you think about things. So is there anything that I've offered there or said there that you think you might want to give a different perspective on?
Yeah, I can definitely tell you that if you have 10 different routines measuring the performance, you will get 10 different outcomes. And so many of the performance tests are usually plain tests, or like when you have a unit test, so you have no side effects, you have nothing else being tested than just some standardized requests. And but here is the thing already. These are very synthetic tests, because in the real world, you always have to some degree side effects somehow, because it's often part. And I know there will be some people saying like, oh, my software doesn't have side effects, but then very sorry, Mr. 10-time developer, I can this discussion is not for you. No, joke aside, I'm very skeptical always on the performance tests by just looking at them as they are
in isolation.
In isolation, you have to view things in context. And when I take a look at Meteor in terms of performance, for example, then there are so many factors that affect the performance.
Yep.
You can tweak, but also factors you can't tweak, but also factors that affect the performance that you don't know about, for example. Yep. And it's a much more complex topic. And now the consultant would jump in and say like, hey, but I can help you with that with my hourly fees of 5,000, 10,000 euros. Come on.
And by the way, if you're thinking about the consultants, the three of us are available to help you out with that too. So
Yeah.
we
Yes,
can
write us a
put those
message.
rates up there as well.
Yeah. Although I'm personally not the expert on performance topics, right? I just wanted to say that
Yeah.
you always have to take them with a grain of salt when you read these comparisons, right?
Yeah, bottlenecks can show up anywhere, right? I mean, the thing is, like, you can have the most performant, high throughput, process, right, or platform that is really taking advantage of the CPU. It's very efficient, whatever. But then you may have a bottleneck in the sense of network traffic, right? So that could be your gating factor over there. And even though you have something that's super performant, you can't take advantage of it because you're not able to, process the network traffic fast enough because the pipes are so small or something, right? Or there are delays along the lines in terms of being able to get that traffic to you. There's a lot
that
of
reminds
error.
me of, I think it was like an AWS article some way back when they were doing performance review, and they had found one of the issues they found is, we have our individual database queries are super fast, and then they found to execute one big thing they had 20 of them, but the individuals one were fine, but if you put them together consequentially, it took much longer than if you made actual one big query with all the necessary stuff. So there's a lot of things, and no application is same. But I will probably be looking more into Hono in my personal streams. So
that'll be great
on Monday. Not sure if this Monday or next Monday, but definitely we'll definitely get it out there. Primarily because it's also partially Japanese, so I think it's some Japanese. So as you can see from my background, I have that bias. So I want to try it out and see what I can kind of learn from it.
I'm glad you have that bias, because that means we have somebody who is going to really spend time with it and try to give some feedback. So I'm looking forward to it. If it's this Monday that you give it the try, I might join you. If it's next Monday, I believe that might be Christmas Day or Christmas Eve.
No. It's the 25th will be the next month after this one. So
yeah, so that would be Christmas Day.
Well, we have it different in Europe. We give our gifts on the 24th, and 25th is usually the wider family stuff, and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that would be a hard sell in my family to walk away from, here. So yeah, if it's this Monday, definitely we'll join you. And but if it's the next one, it's going to be whether or not I can sneak away. And what you'll probably see is a dark background, because I'll be in some closet someplace. If that were to happen, you would know what happened. It's just I have to hide.
All right, let's talk over the weekend for that. So, Alan, what do you have next for us?
Well, everything's going on these days. I mean, you look around. It's ChatGPT this. It's XGPT that. You're hearing everybody talking these days about these large language models. And if you feel like you've been missing out on the party, while the Python, Scala, Rust, C++ folks seem to have all the fun working directly with LLMs, you don't have to cry anymore. As a matter of fact, Santa Claus has come to town, bringing joy to all you JavaScript developers. You can now train and run models natively in JavaScript and on the browser. And it's called Transformers.js, and you could try it out. Here, this is at there is a project called Xenova. It's Xenova at GitHub. So you'd go to Xenova, talking over my tongue again, xenova.github.io. And if you go to the Transformers.js subdomain, it'll take you here, which shows you the project that they've got, and it allows you to try it out. So there's a running demo over here, and you can play with it a bit. But if you want to, they have a really well-maintained GitHub repository. And Jan, if you could just switch back over to the repo itself, and you scroll down, you'll see that their README is pretty comprehensive. And it's got a number of different sections over here. It's got example code. It tells you the models that it includes, and it allows you to just, go through and get started. It's pretty good. But, one of the other things that has happened is this project is also being hosted over at Hugging Face. And if you know, Hugging Face is the site that hosts a number of open source models for machine learning models, including many deep learning models. Are you able to pull that open, Jan, the Hugging Face?
Oh man, I've never got in here. I was just right now playing here with the.
Okay, well, let me
demo.
pull it up. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll just share that with you guys. All right, so if you'll let me just present it, Jan, I'll do that right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share that screen. Okay, and here we go. And so let me get that a little wider. The really nice thing about the Hugging Face website is not only do they have the information it's exactly the same information that you'll find in the GitHub repo on the README page, but it is, I think, a lot more approachable. On the left-hand side, they've got the different sections that are related to the documentation. On the right-hand side is a TOC that tells you the different places within the document that you could go to get further information. And then there's some examples on building a vanilla JS app, a React app, a Next.js app, and so on. I would love to see us get building a Meteor app and putting it here. But what this means for you primarily is that, and let me stop sharing on that, and we can go back to one of the others if we want to, is you should take it, try it out. I mean, now you can actually build machine learning applications, specifically these large language model applications, right in JavaScript. And so try it out. Build something with Meteor. And better yet, if you can, contribute to a package to make everybody's use of it easier. You get to play with AI on your favorite dev platforms. So, this is Transformers.js. It's more than meets the AI.
All right. Speaking of
it's like such a
AI,
dad joke, right?
Speaking of AI, I think last maybe 2 weeks back, I think we've covered about how GitHub is getting into the AI game and all that stuff. Well, it's no longer really alone. JetBrains is also getting onto the AI game. So if you use WebStorm or IntelliJ or any of the other JetBrains products, you will be able to soon, or probably after you update to the latest version, you will be able to get the AI assistant in the IDE. And I still have to actually try it because right now I have the GitHub AI in, so I'll have to see how both of them compare and see how it goes. So who knows? Maybe there will be something good stuff there as well.
So this is their version of Copilot?
Yes, in a way, integrated into the IDE and all that stuff. So
okay. So does it do code generation for you? Is that part of what it will do?
It goes, as we could see, if once this starts playing again, it kind of gives you the hints, similar like the Copilot does when you have it integrated into the system, and it does like some. You can see here some suggestions and of naming and
cool,
other documentation and stuff like that. So yeah, so there's the chat. So I think if you have like JetBrains, it might be more approachable also financially, because I think you have much more available out of the box if you have a license.
Mm.
Let me scroll down here and see. Of course, you have like you have kind of like a trial for 7 days, and I think there might be something left limited. And after that, it should be like relatively. We'll have to see, like especially when it compares to Copilot, which one is like better bang for the bucks.
Sounds cool. All right, and I think we're done with the news, unless anybody else has something to add. Go ahead, Küster.
Sorry, yeah, I was on mute, so I couldn't jump in before. What I related to JetBrains and the WebStorm IDE, I remember there was a Meteor plugin that recently got updated, but I don't remember if they open sourced it. And maybe we will look into this again, because I think this is also still a crucial part in development to have this great Meteor support in IDEs, right?
Yeah.
Now I took my microphone off. We have Victor in the chat. We've got a bunch of folks in the chat. Let's just say hi to all of them. We've got Kelly in the chat. We have Daniel. And we also have Victor. Gabrielle was here. I don't know if he still is. Hopefully, we'll have Gabrielle on next week to help us out with the blog post on 2.14, and maybe we could talk about when we're going to get to the alpha. In any case, Victor has popped in to say, has anyone tried the JetBrains AI versus Copilot? I use Copilot so far, but an ID integrated solution seems appealing. So I think the answer from this group is that we have not here done that. It'll be nice to hear if anybody else outside has, and if so,
yeah, I'm planning to do that soon. I just need to turn off Copilot and turn on the AI provided by JetBrains, because you cannot have both at the same time, because they cannot touch the same things and do the same functionalities. So that's where these things kind of cross. So I just need to do this, and then I should be able to try it out fully.
Well, yes, and the thing is too that it'll be nice to see whether or not there's anybody else in the community who may have tried it or is going to try it. If you do so, just put notes in the comments here at some point and let us know about it. Share your experience so that we can all benefit from it. All right, and with that, I just want to say really quickly that if you are a returning viewer that has been to this program more than once and you have not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. And that really motivates us. We're up to, I think, 126 subscribers so far. When we started our journey, we had 20 on this channel. So it's really been great to get this feedback from you guys. So please hit the subscribe button, and we'd love to have you as one of our continuing members. It'll allow you to get notified when we have new episodes coming out, including our deep dives on hot topics, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. Okay. So let's move on from there. What do we have next?
Yes, Jan? I would like to shout out Harry Adele, specifically for his work in Meteor Core on removing underscore from the core packages and Meteor itself. There has been a lot of these pull requests that he has been working on for quite a while, merged in 2.14. And this kind of does, kind of multiple things, but one of the main things, of course, it removes underscore, which decreases the dependency size and count. And with that, also potential exploitation, because with underscore, at least for me, oftentimes that has been like a very common, security notification from Snyk or npm audit. Hey, this function in underscore has an issue. You need to upgrade and all that stuff. So he has been working on that. So I want to give a big shout out and thank you for working on this not so sexy thing.
Is now I think we've reached out to Harry, have we not, to see if he'll join
Yes,
us?
he will be joining us for, I think, the last stream of the year, I believe it is, to talk
That
more
would be
about this
the
in
December
detail.
29th stream. So Harry, we're looking forward to having you join us and talk a bit about your contributions to core and what it's like to be an open source developer on this, really mature product. So love to get your perspective, and I'm looking forward to it. All right. And if there's nothing else on the shout outs, do we have any more shout outs that we want to give at this point? Or
No, we can move on.
all right. So coming up in a couple of weeks, as you know, we were supposed to have a Blaze panel a couple of weeks back. There were some scheduling issues that we had with regard to the holidays, and we pushed it forward. We're still trying to finalize that. We're now pretty sure we're going to either have the panel on the second or third week in January. And so look forward to that. That is the second in our series on Blaze and migrating Blaze to 3.0. And then Jan and I, when I say Jan, I have to really distinguish between the two. Storyteller and I are planning on doing a hot topic discussion on the Techno-Optimist Manifesto. And this is something that that Storyteller has read and is really moved by and has some real strong opinions about. I'm going to be reading this shortly, and I don't know if Küster will have the time to join in with us and also, give his hot take. So I think, it's a hot topic because there'll be some hot takes on this. This is less objective, more subjective, more, what we think about software development and the ideas that people have in the field about technology, software development, etc. So this is going to be one of those things that I think is going to be interesting. And we're going to be doing this, I believe, during the week between Christmas and New Year. So in about 2 weeks. So we're going to hammer down a date on that soon and get it to you. Okay. And then finally, Küster has had this revelation. It's almost like an epiphany that, he's got some ideas on the media migration. He's working, I believe, on a secret document, a blog post that might be coming out soon on these migration ideas and whatever. I don't know exactly what's in it. He sent me the link, but I didn't read it. So just admitting to facts here, right? So I think what we have planned is that the idea is that he's going to start doing deep dives into media migrations. And I think this is one of the reasons that he has that forum post out there, is to sort of collect some background. And the plan is to do this in the week after New Year's. Küster, you want to pop in on that for a second? Maybe I've misrepresented something. So,
yeah, the thing is, there is already an article, but I don't want to get too deep into that because I will post on the forums later on, and we will cover it maybe next week. But regarding the deep dive in the migration, I think it is best for people to see an actual migration effort on a real project with all these traps that can occur and then getting resolved in real time, or at least by a real example, would take lots of fears of the people. Because again, nearly everyone I was talking to doing in the chats or in personal messages, everybody is waiting for a stable 3.0 release to migrate their packages. And at the same time, everybody tells me like, oh my God, I have so much pressure because I need to be on the most recent Node.js version. And then I think it's much easier to migrate, and then people think. It looks very big, it looks very hard, but it's not anymore, I think. And the biggest blockers are dependencies, pure dependencies, and so packages basically, and some integrations. And
Well,
this is what I was.
let's hold on. Let's not give away the secrets of the world at this
Yeah,
point.
of course.
Okay, let's save something for the next time. So
Of course.
I think what I'm hearing you saying is that this might be a live, hands-on, deep dive demo. People will actually see code. They'll see a migration as it happens, and you'll walk through and we'll talk through some of the issues that people might encounter and how they may go about thinking about resolving it, not just watching you resolve it, but the thought process that goes along with what do we need to do in order to make this work.
Two more arms growing out of my back. We'll also type in the keyboard and answer questions in the chat in the meantime. So then we will have this ultimate experience for the viewers. And I hope that many people will join. But still, we have to figure this all out when and how and the details. So keep watching the updates.
All right. Well, that's what we've got coming up for you guys in the next few weeks, and we'll get to what's coming next week. But in the meantime, I want to track back to what I opened with, which was this discussion of isomorphism. And isomorphism has a very special meaning within Meteor itself. You write some code that can access your data, and it is code that can run on both the server and on the client. And you expect the same kind of behavior from that code, and it's one of the things that has made Meteor, I think, quite an exceptional platform to build on. However, as the migration has, as we've been moving to try to get onto the latest version of Node, we've had to lose access to a particular feature that was available with Meteor since its early days, and that's the Fibers package. Fibers offers coroutines that allows async type behavior to occur, but allows also synchronous synchronous. You know what? Let me walk that back a little bit, because I'm starting to trip over my tongue again. What has happened here is that we had some specific behavior that allows us to have this isomorphic code and allow us to write isomorphic code. Now there is a question as to whether or not we can continue with the current state of affairs. And so what I want to do is I want to turn this back over to my colleagues now. We're going to have a discussion. It's going to be a little bit technical, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with Meteor. How did isomorphism arise from the code? What gave rise to it? How does it behave? And what's happening now that we're moving to Node 20 that breaks that, and in what ways does it break it? And there is, I think, going to be a little bit of a discussion that will start, but I think needs to continue on whether or not it makes sense to expend the effort to try to keep the old isomorphic behavior. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Küster and to Storyteller. Hopefully they can mop up the blood that has spilled on the ground with the mess that has come out of my mouth. So, guys, they're looking for a mic.
Right. So I think kind of the start of all of this was probably like in the early days of a Meteor, similar like I think as you put at some point with Blaze. So wouldn't it cool if it did this and it was just put in without much of a thought, but that would be probably understatement. I would say there was quite a lot of thought, and one of the main things of write once, run everywhere. I think probably like the most obvious what we see today in Meteor itself is the Cordova packages, the Cordova integration. So you write once, and it you can then export out of that Cordova packages to Apple and Android, and have all that fun there. We also saw in the news section ARM64. So that is kind of like the most obvious part of that. And the thing is, in a way, maybe Meteor, I think, might be doing too many things. And as we've seen, with the fibers, some of the solutions that were used to maintain this, especially going to Meteor 3, no longer are possible. So that's why we are kind of in this, say, maybe bit of a mess. But there's a lot more to unpack. But so I kind of want to kind of get that out of the way, and up to you, Jan, to kind of pick it up even further.
Yeah, I mean, so let me tell you something regarding the old days. So this isomorphism next to optimistic UI was one of the big selling points that I bought when I bought into Meteor, because I was really happy about not writing everything for server and client each. That was a terrific idea and a terrific experience, especially because before that I wrote something like, either you had a server running in Java, which is already worse, as you can imagine, but then you still have to write client-side code. Oh my god! And then it's this mental effort, always switching these contexts. Oh yeah, this is on the client, this is on the server, and so on. We could abstract that away, perfect. But here's the thing. The whole JavaScript ecosystem became so complex, many things moved along, and you rarely find 100% fitting use cases for isomorphism anymore. There are other frameworks that support that as well, referring to what Alim was saying just today. Look out what others do, keep up with the ecosystem. But it's not that common use case of writing isomorphic code, especially lots of stuff is happening on the server already. There was this trend getting back to server-side rendering, and single-page applications were not so popular anymore. I think it's still a great thing when you have rich client experience. And now coming back to isomorphism, to me personally, I'd love to have it and keep it, but I know I will not have it anymore in regards to the Mongo async API. And I think it's a sad thing, but on the other side, I will move on, and I will use isomorphism in other contexts where it's still possible to use. So it's a little bit also about adapting. It's a little bit about strategy, keeping up, and we all know it's part of constant refactoring, right? And when this is the situation right now, that we can't have this 100% isomorphism anymore, it's okay. I didn't have it before. I had to implement, let's say, cryptographic functions, some stuff I couldn't implement. And then there was also this node stubs. I don't know if you're, in terms of the viewers here, everybody is into what Meteor does with the node stubs. Meteor can stub node packages into the browser when you want to use them in terms of isomorphism. And this also had a disadvantage. It was blowing up your client-side package. You can easily get some 5, 6, 7 megabyte client-side packages when you importing some node-based things like path or file system or crypto. And then so it's not always shiny on the in the isomorphism land, and you had to do it carefully even before, and now you have to do it carefully again, but in another context. So that's my take on this.
Yeah,
right
so
now.
there is this question, I think, especially with the with Blaze, and I think this is where the question on or the discussion on isomorphism really kind of, raised its ugly head, so to speak, is in order to try to have the Blaze behavior, the traditional Blaze behavior going forward in Node 20, right? There might require some degree of rewrite to Blaze to try to capture as much of that as possible, if it's possible. And then the question is it worth it, right? And so I think to some degree, Küster, you have mentioned that you view that perhaps the cost of doing that kind of work may not be worth it. It's really heavy, and maybe what we need to do is really think about how we're going to rewrite our code to embrace the ASIC models, because the fact is that, as you said, that there are some drawbacks with having isomorphic client code, right? So
I think it depends on the use cases. I just picked up a comment from Daniel in the live chat, and I think I definitely agree with that. We can still use isomorphism for important things like business logic, validation code, etc. And I think this is definitely the case. This is what we actually do, especially the validation stuff. I mean, I don't want to write the validation on the client for forms and then on the server for collections again. That's just crazy. Why should I do that? So that's what we actually do in our projects. So
yeah.
I totally agree. There will be still use cases. It's just that this nice Mongo integration is not there anymore now for isomorphism.
Yeah, I kind of want to show a bit of, say, code here, and let's remove that fun comment. Is for many, of course, we have the client folder, and then we have now the imports folder. In this case, I have API, and under which I have the different methods. And one of the things that really struck out to me was, especially now that there is a talk about how to fix the async methods properly, with maybe some limited functionality on the client. And if I do recall correctly, I have oftentimes in my so let's here we can do this liking thing. I have here the like, and then I have just some basic things that are done on the client, and then the rest I have if Meteor is server, and I kind of work in there. So that lot of the stuff kind of distinguishing between client and server we have been doing as well already. And I think, and what I'm really curious about how eventually the fix, and we've talked about it 3 weeks back possibly, with the different ways how to fix the async on the client. And one of the things was having some limitations that certain things would not be you wouldn't be able to call from the client side of the methods, some specific, I recall, node functions or like node related stuff. And I think that's kind of going to be the future, at least in Meteor, that you still are going to have it as it is today. But if you then want to have it, say, on the client, there will be like certain limitations that you will have to be aware of, and maybe put things more behind, if Meteor is server.
So are you suggesting that might be one way that they could start refactoring their code to anticipate these changes that are going to be made in behavior on Blaze?
I wouldn't necessarily say to start that. I think that would depend on how things are going to be resolved in that regard. But
But you're saying that this is a strategy that they can employ.
Yes. Well, and also I can also use it for performance-wise as well, because one thing, like, with this, isomorphism, and also this is part of the reactivity, is that we have this, both run client on server, is that sometimes we just have the entire method and all of that running in the imports folder, so it's both on client, both on server.
Sure.
And this is part of, I could say, maybe performance optimization, that for you to determine if what makes sense to run on the client, and what is the rest that needs to actually run on the server. So, for example, when I am recording, or where I'm for example, to universe, when I'm adding story, part of that is creating additional collections, like, for statistics and all that stuff. And that doesn't have to run on the client. It doesn't make sense to run on the client because there is no immediate feedback for the user. So I run that on the server. In this case, just with under in a if. And for some functions, especially in regards to payments, they are entirely run on the server, but for security
reasons,
to make sure everything works. So that's kind of additional things. So as these changes kind of are determined, what's going to have to change going forward, I think it might be also, and that's kind of how I want to sell it to everybody, this is an opportunity for you to go in and do a general audit of your methods and all that stuff.
So Daniel has a comment here. The storyteller, this could have actually have taken advantage of a stub to update the client faster for the user. I'm not sure which bit of code he's talking about here, because this was being written, I guess, as he's got a follow up here. Oh wait, no, this is Victor. Do you see real life improvements? And okay, so we've got some feedback. Why don't we just transition to this at this point? Just dealing with some feedback, because I think we're running a little late here. So it'll be nice to get some comments on this. Do you see real life improvements in isomorphic code? In our company, we're trying to have server-side only methods to avoid all the .find glitches when the data is not available in mini-Mongo.
Yes, that I would say that's a very common thing, because you have to realize on the client you have only a subset of the data, so we have to be also very careful with these, while on the server you have the access to the entire database. So that's definitely a very valid point in that, to really be careful of this, and I think that's kind of been underestimated potentially a bit. So that's one of the reasons, if you have something where you need to access the entire database, then you have to make sure that you run it on the server, and kind of on the stop that's on the client. Then you have to determine if that is something for worth it for you to run there, if you will have the data and so on. It's very easy, with inserts, because that will insert it in the mini-Mongo and everybody is happy. But once you have to do a bit more data processing, that's usually better to move it to server. So
we have another question, by the way. Shout out hello to Elliot for joining today, and also for Lori, who has been also in the chat. Thank you guys all for joining today. Elliot, I think this is going to be the last question we're going to take. I don't know whether or not we can do this within about 2 minutes, because we're well over our stopping point. And to be honest with you guys, I gotta make a 3-hour ride up to Binghamton to go get my daughter before they close the dormitories down tonight. So I think we can do a 2 minute on this. Okay, great. Go ahead, Küster. You wanna hit this?
So I think here are multiple things, because there's, on the one hand, there's the Mongo API, which is already documented in the Meteor docs. There is this migrate to 3.0 from 2.x. I don't know if one of you can show it on the screen already, because there are all functions. There's a link to a document where all functions are listed. Can one of you?
Yeah, I am going to try to find it. Yes, here we go.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes. So this is a general. Can you please on the left side scroll down, because this is already there is another. This is the relevant document for you, Elliot. Because there is a list of the Mongo collection and cursor functions that are affected. And how they are called now. So they have these async counterparts now, and there are also some more internal methods that are also affected. So, and there is a link down there. This is the complete. Yeah, stop. No, that was too much, Jan. Can you please scroll up again? There is the complete list of updated methods is listed here. And there you have the complete list where also internal methods, not only about that are related to Mongo, and also other things that you might use in your client-side code, for example. So this is the more general answer regarding Mongo and Mini Mongo. And regarding Blaze, there is actually a recent post by Radoslav on the Blaze async update, because there will be an update for Blaze to handle async functions in the tracker in order to support these functions listed there. And this implies lots of changes as well. And I'm not sure if we can link this article right now, but let me see if I can find it right now.
Yeah, if you can find it, maybe put it into the chat. And
yeah, I will put that to the chat as well. And there's also still in discussion, I think there's also this async support for Meteor stubs, for the method stubs on the client. But I don't, or Jan, is it already resolved? It's resolved.
No. That's one is the one I mentioned. You know, how with the Meteor stubs, because right now, and if we go back to migration to 2.8 and scroll down here, you have the call async limitation, and that's kind of what is the root kind of problem, or what the discussion is about. And why I mentioned one of the solution is that there will be certain that it will be resolved, but there will be certain restriction on what you can call on the client, and these are kind of the limitation. You know, when can you call it, under which circumstances, or especially how it, you know, in regards to calling like multiple meteor.call async like after each other or stuff like that. So or, you know, if you just call, you know, meteor.call async once in your component, usually, you know, you are fine. But if you have like multiple of them, especially in one function, then things can get a bit hairy. So that's kind of where we are hitting the issues.
Excellent. All right. I think we're going to try to wrap this up now, guys. By the way, for everybody that's been joining us, you know, we'd love it if you could like the episode. If you're finding value in this, we would appreciate that if you were to do that. So like the episode, and I'm looking for the banner here, the little ticker. Like the episode, and that's all I really need to ask at this point. Again,
like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah. Say. So, you know, actually, let me just like pull the curtain aside and reveal some stuff. So, I've been looking at some advice that people give on people that really know the stuff and teach it, give on in terms of asking for the like, subscribe, etc. Is that we should just ask for one at any given point, because when you ask for all three, then the question to the viewer is like, what are you asking me to do, right? I know we're asking for all of them, but it gets confusing sometimes, and because of that, some people just don't execute on it. So earlier I asked for a subscribe, now I'm asking for a like, and you're getting like the background as to how this all works, how we're trying to make it work, and but that's okay because we're not pros at this. We're just a bunch of dudes trying to figure this out. All right. I do want to just give you some, feedback that we've gotten over the last couple of weeks. Last week, we had a couple of comments. Jan Öztürk had complimented both the podcast and Laurie for his work on Wecken. And Laurent Roger pointed out that there is another cron option for Node, and it's the agenda package. So thank you guys for joining in and putting comments in the chat. As I said before, we read everything, and we will bring it in. If we haven't in the past, it's an oversight. It's not meant as, it doesn't mean that we don't like you or we don't want to engage with you. It just means that somebody forgot, and most likely me, or it was just overlooked. Okay. Couple of reminders. Meteor Christmas. Jan, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, so upon a popular request from the Czech community, I've decided to host a MeteorJS Christmas gathering in Prague. Right now, we are.
Sorry. I should leave you to do it. You do this much better than I do. Go ahead.
So we are going to have on this upcoming Thursday a gathering. We are still looking for location. So if you have offices in Prague or something that you could lend us for the evening, that would be awesome. If not, I'll figure out some other location over the weekend. I'll be starting at 5:30 p.m. We'll probably, depending on the location, it will either start with me giving a kind of like a Meteor year in review talk. Then we'll open up stage for people to advertise what they're doing with Meteor. Then do some Q&A with me, and then finish up with networking. That is if you have like a nice venue with projector and all that stuff. If not, then it will be more informal and probably in some pub or cafe that we gather at. So that's coming up on the 21st.
Yeah, you know what we do here in New York, if we don't have a place, is we'll just meet at Starbucks. They don't mind people dancing, and well, they do, but it doesn't stop people from having a good time, But there's that. Actually, what we used to do here, if you remember, is well, it was typically an after, but when we stopped getting space from time to time, we would just hit a pub and just break off into these small groups and chat. Sometimes if it wasn't too large a group, we just all gather around one large table, and if it's quiet enough, we could actually talk about really interesting things. So, yeah, I love these social events. I love when people are able to share what they're working on, share the things that concern them, and to be able to get information out of it. I think it's cool. So, are you going to live stream your gathering, or is it going to just remain
it's
personal and intimate?
Just personal.
One
more reason to kind of get you to come. So please, RSVP. Let me know so I know how large of a space I need to get. So that's it from me. Maybe except one more shout out is that if you are into gaming, particularly Guild Wars 2 or Minecraft or something like that, I started a thread on the forums to see if maybe we can organize. And my dream is to have like a Meteor guild in Guild Wars 2 and just have some fun and relax and enjoy being my Norn mage.
That's awesome. All right. So, Küster, is there anything you want to add before we start wrapping this up a little more? Okay. Well, coming up next week, 'tis the season for giving and receiving, and you'll just have to tune in next week to see what I mean. Until then, guys, Have a great weekend. Take care. It's good seeing you all.
Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.